I love audiobooks. I'm constantly listening to an audiobook. And so, when I see a good sale of some of my favorite books, I'm going to share them. Basically, every month I share with you my favorite Librofm audiobooks, which are on sale, which you could get now. And we talk it through these and also what's on my TBR. If you don't know who I am, my name's Lily. I'm the book reviewer behind Utopia State of Mind. And let's just jump into what is Librofm. Librofm is an independent audiobook subscription service. Basically, you pay for a credit a month and you redeem that on an audiobook. Additionally, though, every month they have sales on audiobooks and these are at a discounted rate. If you're not a subscription member, you can still buy these audiobooks. They're yours forever. You just need to have an account which you can sign up for without being a paid member. Paid members get an additional 30% off, though. These books are fantastic. I say this every month, but every month Librofm picks books. Believe me, if Librofm for a month did not have books that I wasn't into, I wouldn't make a video. But every month I make a video because there are just books that I've loved, specifically also in audiobook form that you need to listen to. All the links below are affiliate links. I'm an affiliate for Librofm. I also spend a lot of money throughout these videos on audiobooks as I tell you what is on my TBR. But let's just get into it. So As Long as the Lemon Trees Grow is on sale. I mentioned The Ocean Would Paint Me Blue as one of my favorite books from June, but As Long as the Lemon Trees Grow was the kind of debut that set it all off. It is a YA speculative novel which is set during the Syrian Revolution. It has these themes of hope and love, and I really, really love this book. I thought I couldn't love this book anymore, and then I read the sophomore book. But anyway, it is a story about being torn between loyalty to your country, loyalty to your family. And so if that sounds interesting to you, please pick this one up. It is so, so fabulous. The Isle in the Silver Sea is on sale. I love Tasha Suri books, period. Tasha Suri is one of my auto-buy authors. And The Isle in the Silver Sea was such a beautiful, poignant story about stories. I love a story about stories. I just do. And so The Isle in the Silver Sea is about that. It's a standalone romantasy. It is queer. It has medieval folklore and kind of this love that goes over time. I love all of these different things all together. Tasha Suri manages to pack the angst and heartbreak for readers normally that you'd find in a trilogy into one book. And so it is heart-wrenchingly good. And it's a book, yeah, about trying to break the cycle of stories and trying to break archetypes and tropes. I love this one. Clap When You Land is one of my favorite Elizabeth Acevedo books. It is also read by Elizabeth Acevedo, and it is a story about siblings, a story about sisters, and so there's also these family secrets, and it's also in verse. I actually have it somewhere behind me. It's one of my favorite Elizabeth Acevedo books. Elizabeth Acevedo, if you haven't read, is just a must read. I love the verse books. I think that there's just something about the lyrical nature of storytelling in verse. And so you see this in The Poet X, Clap When You Land. Something about lemons. I feel like the cover has a lot of like mangoes and fruits on it with the fire on high, which there are mangoes. So I'm also really looking forward to Anger is Only a Shadow. As I said, Elizabeth Acevedo, author by author, so good, and I would highly, highly recommend it. We Love You Bunny is on sale. This is actually a sort of prequel, sort of sequel book to Bunny, which I like We Love You Bunny more than I liked Bunny, funnily enough. I'll try to link down below. I think the video where I talk about Bunny or I talk about We Love You Bunny. But anyway, I like it more because I really love the idea of pulling apart what happened from an alternate perspective. And so We Love You Bunny does that in terms of a prequel, as in we look at some of the events in Bunny from different characters in a prequel, but because it's set time-wise after Bunny, it's also sort of like a sequel. And I actually can't tell you that much about it without spoilering the events of Bunny, which I'm not going to do. So if you like Bunny, uh, definitely read We Love You Bunny because I liked it more. Hooked is on sale. I haven't read Hooked or Butter. Kylie Lee Baker has been talking about Hooked and Butter, and it made me get both of these, but I haven't read them yet. So these are in my TBR. I'm not going to get this audiobook because I actually already own a copy, and I'm trying so hard to be good about not doing that. But Hooked is on sale, and it's something that is really interesting to me because it's about the quote here says obsession, female friendship, and the slow unraveling of two lives. I love also translated fiction. I'm trying to get more into reading translated fiction and also translated kind of literary-ish fiction. And so Hooked might be the place to start. Butter actually is the place to start, and then Hooked. A Monsoon Rising, which is actually the second book in the Hurricane Wars trilogy, is on sale. I just wanted to mention this because I saw the cover for the last one, which is, I think, like Shattered Tempest or whatever. So I wanted to mention that if you've been waiting for the third book and you haven't read the second book, it's on sale from Librofm. I have thoughts about book one and two, which I will leave down below. But yeah, The Stardust Thief is on sale, which I'm looking at the Ashfire King over there, which I haven't read, and shameful, do not look at me, but it is a great story about smuggling, and it has a great kind of crew dynamic. It's sort of inspired by stories from 1001 Nights, and so there's this idea of finding this magical lamp, but it's also the story about the journey, and I promise you, I'm gonna read the Ashfire King this year. I promise you, it's a trilogy. And so I really like this idea of a magical journey. Also, the world building is very immersive and detailed. I remember reading it and kind of feeling like I could feel the sand underneath my feet. It is so good. And also delving into our past as we're kind of trying to get to what we think is going to give us the key for our future. Voyage of the Damned is a book that I haven't read yet, even though I own it. But it was basically ages and ages ago. I went to Yalk and I got this little thing, which was kind of like a magical cruise ship fake ticket. And since then, I've wanted to read Voyage of the Damned, and since then, I haven't read it. But it is a murder mystery on a ship full of magical passengers. So what is more to love about that? But basically, it's this idea of giving me like Titanic meets cruise meets magical murder mystery. It reminds me a little bit of one of the stories in the in the Freya Marsk series. I love a good cruise magical passenger murder mystery. I would never go on a cruise or on a ship, would never do it. So these books are kind of escapism fantasy for me. The Cuffing Game is on sale. I haven't read The Cuffing Game, but I've really enjoyed Lila Lee's other books. So if you're looking for a sweet kind of YA contemporary, which is a K-drama remix of Pride and Prejudice, definitely read The Cuffing Game. I'm really intrigued by this one. This is definitely on my TBR. Lila Lee is an author that I continuously try to keep up with, so that is why The Cuffing Game is there. Gilded Vengeance is also a book that I haven't read, and it's set in a kind of like 1800s New York society with a Gilded Age magical vibe. So it's definitely up my alley. It is basically about two girls who attend a magical ball, but one was never seen again. I love historical fantasy, and Gilded and Vengeance is definitely one that I probably have to read in order to continue my historical fantasy journey. Begin Again is a book I have, but I haven't read. And it's one that I wanted to talk about because I've been reading a lot of kind of books about going back and confronting doors we've never taken, paths we've never taken, roads we've never taken, and the idea of changing the past. And this one is a book which talks about that, where the main character can revisit key moments from her past to see if different choices will lead to the life that we want. This is a premise that I really, really love, which is why I wanted to bring it up, even though I haven't read it. And And speaking of books I haven't read, Julie Chan is one of them. It is comped as Bunny and Yellowface, or for fans of Bunny and Yellowface. So this is obviously a book that I've had uh, for a while. But basically, it's about our main character and a twin sister, dark secrets, social media facade, and this idea of what happens when your sibling has what you want or doesn't have what you want. Both. I guess. Circe is on sale by Madeline Miller. I really, really loved Circe. It's kind of this reimagining, obviously, of the life of Circe, and I really like that. I love Greek mythology retellings that are interesting and different than what I'm come to see. Like, I've seen 1,000 Hades and Persephone retellings, and yes, I will keep reading them. But I do love an interesting retelling that brings something new to it than just kind of just a retelling. I have gripes with this. I'm not going to talk about this here, but I have gripes with Greek mythology retellings. And so Circe is one of the ones that I really, really loved. It's also the first book that I actually read from Madeline Miller. So I read Circe and then I read Song of the Achilles. And so Circe's is my fave. Ancillary Justice is on sale. It's the first one in the Anne Leckie series. I have read Translation State, which is actually set in the same universe, and then I'm going to read Radiant Star. So basically, it's going to be this thing where I read all of these kind of standalones set in the same universe before I actually even read the main trilogy. So yeah, it's just what it's going to be. I have really been looking forward to this kind of worship trapped in a human body on a quest for revenge. And so I really love this idea. It's also super, super classic. But for some reason, I keep ending up reading on the top of my TBR pile of things that Orbit has lovingly sent to me, these other standalones set in the world, but Ancillary Justice is on the bottom. So I think it will be interesting once I actually get to this book to kind of see the world from that perspective. So I'm hoping that it gives people an interesting perspective. We'll see. As Many Souls as Stars is on my TBR. I love this idea of historical fiction and a queer historical fiction as well. It's about a witch and an immortal demon. They have a Faustian bargain, and there's, I think it's set in 1592, and they have a cat and mouse chase across multiple lifetimes. Amazing. I haven't read it yet, but it's on my TBR. And it is exactly something that I would really love. I also really enjoyed Natasha Siegel's previous book. What is that called? Which is, I feel like, also historical fantasy, certainly historical fiction, but yeah, Solomon's Crown. And then Chateau Reverie? No, I'm like, what is this word? Chateau Reverie is on my TBR, and that one is coming soon. But yeah, I'm really excited for As Many Souls as Stars. I Was a Teenage Slasher is on sale. This is probably actually my favorite Stephen Graham Jones book, which I've read a bunch of them at this point by now, but I Was a Teenage Slasher is my favorite one. It has this kind of meta look at the horror genre, this kind of reflective tone. The ending made me cry, which was not what I was expecting for a horror book. But it has, similarly to Stephen Graham Jones's kind of historical approach, sort of look at the horror genre, look at classics of the horror genre. And it has that and it interacts with that on a meta level where the perspective is from the teenage slasher perspective. And it also kind of ends up being so emotionally vulnerable. It was weirdly, yeah, I cried at the end, which felt really strange. And so yeah, I it's one of those books where I really loved. It's, as I said, my favorite one of those. And if you love horror and you consider yourself a horror aficionado, definitely read this one because one of the things I like about Stephen Graham Jones is the interrogation of horror genre as a whole. And finally, Leviathan Wakes, which is the first book in the Expanse, is on sale. I actually haven't continued reading this series. I will link down below my video where I talk about reading Leviathan Wakes and then seeing the Expanse. It's an interesting premise. I enjoyed the adaptation, I think, more than the book, I'm pretty sure, if you can fact check me on that video. But basically, to me, it was kind of like a detective in space vibe, as they kind of look at this solar system wide conspiracy. And so if you've been seeing this around and are interested in that one, it is a hefty series. There's, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 10 books alone. So yeah, I'm not sure if I will continue reading this because 10 is hefty, but It was a really interesting concept, and I enjoy the fact that there are going to be more sci-fi adaptations. So love that for us. But anyway, those were some of my picks for July's Librofm audiobook sales. Let me know down below what you're currently listening to. If you wanted to know, I'm currently listening to, finishing up hopefully today, Pool House. Loving it so far, but really excited also to read Spread Me, which is the next one on my list. So I hope you have a really great rest of your reading day, week, month, and year, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.